Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to offer my amendment to reduce funding for the Southeast Crescent Regional Commission, the SCRC, to pre-pandemic fiscal year 2019 levels. Yet again, this commission serves as a duplicative slush fund for parochial interests, this time for projects in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, for which I have many friends in those locations. From FY 2010 to 2020, the SCRC received $250,000 annually, all without having an appointed federal co-chair. So there's nobody in charge, ladies and gentlemen. There's nobody running the thing, but they still got $250,000. I know in the face of trillions, $250,000 isn't much, but where I come from, my bosses, they would love to have $250,000 every single year and not have to account for it because nobody's in charge. Now, after a co-chair was appointed in December 2021, again, with close ties to political leadership, is conveniently, as I said, related to political leadership, the number is now a whopping $20 million in this bill. So from $250,000 with nobody in charge to somebody politically connected to $20 million. There's absolutely no reason for that dramatic increase in funding. Well, there's one. You're probably not going to like it, but especially when these projects fund both projects with no national nexus, like electric vehicle charging stations. We have to have a regional commission do that. We just had an amendment where you're telling me the Department of Energy's got to pay for that, but now the regional commission pays for that also. How about the charging to stormwater management? A problem, I'm sure, in every state. But here again, is that the federal government's role? And green infrastructure, according to the SCRC's 2023 to 2027 strategic plan. That's what they're going to spend the money on. Our constituents, our bosses, do not have money for these projects that have no impact on their lives and in many cases drive up the cost of living for them. I urge support of this amendment and I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from Tennessee seek a recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I claim time in opposition.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, my objections to this amendment mirror my objections to the previous amendments to cut funding for regional commissions. I respectfully urge a no vote on the amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Again, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the time. We're just spending dollars, ladies and gentlemen. This government agency, this program does it. Here's another one. The Denali Commission, 29 separate programs. This is not much different. I didn't count them up, but I assure you there are other federal programs that do the same thing. And that's even a question that hasn't been answered here is it the role of the federal government? I ask my bosses, my constituents, the people on this floor, how many gas stations did you pay for through federal appropriations? There's a bunch of gas stations around the country. You stop at them, you know their names. You bought them because you bought gasoline. Somebody invested in that and you bought gasoline and that paid for it. But in this case, you're going to pay for electric vehicle charging stations through your taxes, whether or not you have an electric vehicle, whether or not that vehicle pays any highway taxes. You're going to pay for it. I urge adoption and I yield the balance.
The gentleman yields